Welcome to Social Media Steroids. So if you're tuning in for the first time, I'm Katrina Julia. I'm a lifestyle entrepreneur and a transformation coach and the creator of Fit Life Creation. A bit about my story. I lost over 55 pounds 4 years ago, kept it off after years of yo-yoing, integrating lifestyle tools and a system along with Herbalife Global Nutrition, along with meal bags, along with digital meal plans. I also took over 10 years of experience as a CPA, a certified public accountant, with strategy and finance and operations in over 8 industries, generating results consistently for others in 7 to 9 figures while experiencing chaos in energy and passion and purpose in my own life. So I took all that and created a life and a business I love. So today's episode, we're gonna talk about smart social and specifically social steroids and how I create content simply and easily anywhere and everywhere in the world. So in alignment with that, today I am actually at an Airbnb here in Atlanta. So I'm big on, if you don't already know this about me or don't already follow me, I'm big on stimulation. So even when I'm home, I create on purpose different scenarios or different environments or different things where I know different things or ideas are going to come to me. And that's part of what social steroids and content creation and reaching your full potential is all about, okay? So with that in mind, the first things that I'm gonna talk about, so I have a couple of notes here, so you'll see me from time to time glancing. The first thing I wanna talk about with this is passion and purpose, you guys. So as a prior recognized OCD control freak, as a prior person full of fear in a lot of different ways, and I'm still breaking through barriers all the time, as a prior conformist, meaning, oh, someone wants me to become this, and they tell me that I can do X, Y, Z, but at the same time, fighting and resisting that because deep down inside, I knew there was an element of freedom, to quote a Alicia Keys song, that was missing in my life. And I wasn't really clear on that for years, on that trajectory, on the clutter to truly take passion and purpose, people and platforms to create a life and a business I love. So that's kind of the framework on the onset of today's episode and what we're going to be talking about. So passion and purpose. So through my own journey, I've learned to be super clear on sharing what I love. Sharing that I love different elements of the world as far as our creator, that I love and believe more and more that the universe and our creator is trying to help us and get to the next level versus reacting or getting defensive. And now I always ask myself, what is it that I'm learning in this situation? What is that I'm learning in this circumstance? How can I create out of this? How can I serve more people? How can I relate with more people? So if you don't already follow me on Instagram or on YouTube or on IGTV, depending on where you're finding this, you're gonna find a lot of eclectic, multi-passionate content because my niche is I'm human. My niche is I'm multi-passionate. My niche is that I love to help people simplify health, money, and business so that they create a life and a business they love. Because as an overcomplicated person, like many of us are, I realized in that journey, a lot of that happened for me so that I could help people simplify, so that I could come across authentically and fully as Katrina Julia. And that is my wish and my hope for you in general, plus with this episode, to stop thinking about, learn about engagement, learn about followers, learn about how to serve people. Yes, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying to completely ignore it, but what I'm saying is don't make it your full and be all and end all focus on focusing on the Instagram algorithm till the cows come home, or focusing on the YouTube algorithm till the cows come home. Like, you guys, focus on you, focus on what you love, and organically through that, the people that you love, the community that you want to serve will start to find you. And focus with the intention on how can I create abundantly and create community abundantly, and I'm going to talk more about that, and what's true and authentic to me. So also, as an ex-person that used to make so many decisions out of fear and security based off money, meaning, oh, I'm gonna do X, Y, and Z because it's gonna make me money. Or, oh, I'm gonna connect with this person because it's gonna make me money. Well, as I started to pull off the layers of who I really am, limitless, resilient, and abundant, and priceless, I started to realize when I was in college, everything that I did and as a child centered around limitlessness, centered around resilience, and centered around pricelessness, and centered around passion, purpose, and people. And inevitably the profits came. And so when I started to peel off the layers, I'm like, so that's who I really am. And let me focus on authentically being myself, authentically leading with community, and trusting that the people and the profits are all lining up. Because before Facebook existed, before social media existed, before YouTube existed, you guys, myself and countless other people still created millions to billions of dollars and still created community and still helped countless people. So utilize Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and Snapchat as a complement to share your story, to share your voice, to reach out to people and platforms and realize the power of being able to create your own commercials and share your voice out there. But don't let it enslave you, and don't let it, become your God, for lack of a better term. And, I've been there and done that too when I first realized like the power and looking at people with millions to, whatever followers and engagement and getting all these, offers and press. And that's part of what we do now with influencers. But what I realized, I was like, wait a minute. I used to lose myself in the context of people and popularity and profits. I'm not gonna lose myself. I'm gonna stay authentically Katrina, and I'm gonna connect and create community and respond to every comment with love and truth. But I'm gonna trust that the followers and the people and the tribes and the brands that are supposed to work with myself, with others, are going to find us, or we're gonna outreach, or we're gonna connect in some way, shape, or form. The possibilities are limitless. But I'm not going to become a slave to an algorithm or to a number of followers, knowing what I know, that people and platforms and profits exist endlessly out of that. So with that, share what you love, your passion and your purpose to create social steroids. Share what your purpose is. So for me, if you look at any platform, you're gonna find a common theme of purpose: sharing what I love, sharing and simplifying health, money, and business, with the intent of helping you create a life and a business you love. Whether that's tools, whether that's how-tos, whether that's lifestyle tools, whether that's our retreats, whether that's our academies, behind the scenes, whatever it is, that's the intent behind it. Podcast features, blogs, the list goes on and on, okay? And with that, people. So as I am free and sharing what I love, and who Katrina is, and ways that I want to connect and create, I am clear that that is the person and the brands and the people and the community that I want to attract. Meaning, either they're already free and they see the freedom and they see the authenticity and they see the relationship of being able to have multiple episodes on our podcast and create a community on our podcast alone. That's not counting our client community. That's not counting our influencer community, our brand community and placements, but they see community, they see authenticity, they see relationship. And it's recognizing also that while I understand why some of my coaches, for example, I've also been, besides undergrad and grad school, I've also been mentored and invested in programs with people like Brendan Bouchard, with people like Shailene Johnson, to name a few. And, you know, and of course I attend Herbalife nutrition events. And, you know, I learn from countless people. I believe there's value and wisdom count limitlessly in so many directions. While I understand why some marketers and some people choose to do deadlines and choose to ramp up to a big launch, and at the same time, I understand that there's a time and a place for different things. And this is connecting back to social. I'm going to connect this back to social in a second for you guys, or in a couple minutes. While I understand creating that sense of urgency, while I understand that psychology, so part of my background is also my minor is in psychology, and I've countlessly used and utilized different elements of psychology within myself and others, and understanding myself and understanding people and triggers. So I understand that. But I really started to dig deep, you guys. I started to think about the kind of community I wanted to attract through social steroids, through Instagram, YouTube, through IGTV, through Pinterest, through all these elements. I got clear on that. So that's my first challenge to you with people. Get clear on the kind of community you want to create. So I got clear that I wanted to attract people that, in a sense, as they got clear, just like I got clear and sought Herbalife, or sought meal bags, or sought Brendan Bouchard, or sought Strategic Coach, or Dave Ramsey, or Danny Johnson. I didn't need or want a deadline. And in fact, for me, that was a big turnoff. That I don't want you to pressure me. I don't want you to try and force me. I don't want you to try and manipulate me. Been there, done that, experienced that. I want to create with you because I want to. And in that same vein, when I got super clear on that, I was like, I want a community that wants to follow me on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube, whatever it is. And because they want to. They're not going to play the follow unfollow game. They want to be there. They recognize the value. So I'm going to talk about that too in relation to profits coming up, so stick around. They're going to want to be there. So at first I played that game because, oh, I learned this with this person. I learned this with this person. And then over the last couple months, I was like, wait a minute. Was I friends with anyone or looked up to anyone or followed anyone before social media existed years ago just because they had high numbers or just because they had this? No, I followed them because I saw them as a friend, or I saw them as creating constant value. So I realized, like for example with Instagram specifically, so one of the tools I use with Instagram is Preview. Okay, Preview creates and gives you the ability to create a cohesive feed on Instagram. So as I started to realize authentically, I love health, I love money, I love business, I love our creator, I love to travel, I love Herbalife, I love all these things, I love family, I love community. So as I realized my niche was I'm human, my niche was I'm multi-passionate, my niche is I'm gonna share all of me in whatever levels or layers or boundaries I want to share, because this is a freedom platform. I don't give a damn what anyone else is saying about, you know, create this niche, create that. I believe the next wave of marketing, of humanism, of connection, of know, like, and trust is fully being yourself. And like what my boundaries are today are gonna be different than later. Maybe different for you. Some people share anything and everything. I like to absorb, internalize, and then share different elements into different degrees. So you figure out what that is for you. It may not be what it is for me, but you figure that out. And dig into you and get layers from other people or examples from other people, but you're not a replica, you're you. So honor that, honor your passions and your purpose. So as I started to dig into that, and I realized, you know, I'm gonna follow people that inspire me regardless of whether or not they follow me back. So whether that's an Oprah, whether that's a Brendan, whether that's you know, Peyton Manning, whether that's a Travel in Her Shoes, whether that's, whoever it is, and Travel in Her Shoes is a travel blogger, Jenna Kutcher. So many people, and Jenna is amazing. She shares authentically vulnerable. Speaking of vulnerability, Brene Brown is another person I follow that's super great to like learn from. She's an author and writes a lot about vulnerability. Jenna gets into depth and detail on, her marriage, her relationship, how she creates her business, her miscarriages. I mean, body positive. I mean, she's super inspirational and super freeing. So I realized I'm gonna follow people that I admire, period, and that I respect. And that's what I want. I want people that follow and admire and respect me. And the only time that I unfollow or unfollow, whatever, is I recognize some people still play that game of follow, unfollow. So I have an app where if it's people that have followed me and followed back, and I followed back because I like their vibe, but then they unfollow, I'm like, okay, you're playing the game. I don't want to play that game. And I didn't I followed you to create community. But now that you want to bounce and uncreate community, okay, I'm going to unfollow you too, because you're not part of my tribe. You're not part of my community. You're not staying to stay because of the value, okay? So speaking of people, let's talk about platforms. So you guys, don't think what you see today in any way, shape, or form, depending on when you're watching this video, got created overnight. I am not someone in any way, shape, or form, besides the deadlines and different things, of course, unless it's an event or a retreat. And to me, that's true to me. I want you, speaking of people, so let me lead this into the platforms. I want people to connect because they want to. I want people to create because they want to. I want people to cultivate because they want to. Not out of pressure, not out of fear, not out of psychological manipulation, whatever it is, okay? I want freedom to flow in every aspect of the word and of the imagination, okay? So with that, I want people that want to follow, that want to opt into our freebies, that want to connect, create, cultivate across all the platforms. So for example, Instagram, okay? Instagram, Katrina Julia Fit Life Creation. With IGTV, I post all kinds of things on IGTV too. With YouTube, with Pinterest, with, what else are we on? iTunes, with Stitcher, and that's as of today, with our email list, with our freebies, okay? So I want people that want to be in whatever element or platform that speaks to them. So yes, a lot of people say that, Instagram is kind of instant, etc. But I don't believe that necessarily. I believe there's another shift coming, that more and more people are looking for more and more substance and more value, more and more vulnerability, more and more story, more and more connection and community. And then people that are teaching, people that are sharing, people that are taking social media to the next level and utilizing it as a platform to do good. And by do good, I mean sustainability. I mean brands that are focused on sustainability. I mean brands that are focused on experience. So I say Fit Life Creation is like Amazon meets Airbnb for transformation with a influencer and fundraising twist. Because all of our courses, all of our retreats, all of our academies dually serve in creating communities with influencers to connect, create, cultivate, and collaborate, with fundraisers and with brands to basically integrate our full platform within their brands and educational institutions and more, and hospitality brands, and to have brands that want to be at our experiences. So multifaceted, okay? And with that, also leads to obviously value, leads to community, podcast features, leads to also profits. Because when you connect authentically, selflessly, creating value, sharing story, sharing what you love, sharing your passion, your purpose, it's things that you would do for free. And oftentimes for a while you will. Because for those of you that either were in college and or entrepreneurs, you know very deeply and personally. There was a period of time where you did things for free, others invested in you, and you got to grow through the hump, the mindset, the strength and the struggle, as Brendan says. So many different things. And what you get paid for now, or the scenarios and situations where I got to millions, to 7 to 9 figures, creating for others, 6 figures for myself before, now building back towards 6 figures, 7 figures, 8 figures, 9 figures, helping others do the same, building back toward, or building and creating to give back millions to billions to help in homelessness, help in cancer, help military vets and battered women. I know that the Katrina that's sitting here today is not the same one that was here 10 years ago by any stretch of the imagination, and is not the same one that's gonna be here 5 years, 10 years, 20 years from now. I'm going to keep creating. So ask yourself those same questions as to where are you? Where have you been? Celebrate that. Nothing is ever wasted. Where do you want to go? And are you truly creating and accepting things that resonate and vibe with you, guys? You get this one life to show up, to express yourself, to create. I mean, there's so many things that I've finished in the last several years, created and finished. We just got off of doing pop-ups and masterminds in London and Barcelona. We've got Nashville and Atlanta and Brazil coming up. So many things digitally and online with influencers, podcast features. So many like things in the pipeline, outreach like crazy to create community, you guys. Fundraising, so many different elements, books in process. I'm just getting started. So unleash you and your inspiration and who it is that you want to become and create. And ask yourself, like, I see so many influencers on, and I get it. It's, you know, somebody presented you with something, you saw an opportunity, you thought that's the only way. But open your mind. It's one of my purposes, blow your brain up, okay? Do you really like have any product? For example, I see so many influencers that I, question or I wonder. So I've learned more and more to not judge. It's more of a wondering and a curiosity. Are you really happy talking about 10, 20, 50 different health brands? Just curious. Are you really excited, or is it because they've simply offered you free product or money? And zero judgment, been there, done that. With multiple brands, multiple opportunities. But now I've made the choice that I'm like, if it's not a brand that I'm not willing to invest in on my own, meaning a travel brand, Marriott, Hilton, Airbnb, to name a few that I've invested in, meaning a health brand, Herbalife, nutrition, 6-pack meal bags, Plate Joy, to name a few, Instacart, wealth brands, CPA, I'm also a CPA, so investing in their programs, their aspects, also being a facilitator and a guide for over 7 to 8 years, and an author, meaning different tech tools that I use in alignment with that, Mint, QuickBooks, to name a few, business tools, Live Plan, I've also written for them, I've used their tools since 2006, Kajabi, so many other business tools that we integrate and teach. If it's something I'm not willing to invest in up front, test drive and try out for 2 months, 6 months, a year, why on earth would I want to inauthentically receive them? Now, granted, sometimes people will reach out and it's something I didn't know about, and I'm like, oh, I'm willing to explore this, and this does fit as an integrative tool. However, before we grow, let's first talk about a test drive. Let's first talk about a podcast feature. Let's connect and create and cultivate that relationship. Because when you do that, you guys, it creates easily and effortlessly more and more ways to explore one another, more and more ways to learn and grow and see if you're truly in alignment. Because one thing that I learned in corporate is, I got to grow through a lot of relationships and industries, through education, through energy, through retail, through oil and gas, through media, and got to work with a lot of people that I appreciated and respected in a lot of ways, but ones that I wouldn't necessarily be friends with. And so when I became an entrepreneur, I realized more and more, I want to connect and create, cultivate with people that it feels like passion and purpose. It doesn't feel like work. And I've walked away and refunded clients that didn't align, didn't appreciate the value, and vice versa, or we didn't vibe, whatever the reason was, no problem. I've walked away from $1 million clients and integrations, you guys, because it didn't align. Whereas years ago, oh, you wanna offer me X promotion, you wanna offer me X, I'm going. I'm gonna be whatever you want me to be, even if it's not in alignment with me. And the first time I started to shift that perspective was I was a chief audit exec in corporate America in 2010. And that year, I had generated them, you guys, direct impact, $10 million. Multiple departments, multiple projects, multiple angles, both on an aspect of organization of money, of finding fraud, waste, and abuse, of also creating new money. And into the next year, the trajectory was gonna be over 20 million. So the value I had created, this, I'm gonna get to this with profits, you guys, so stick around, was exponential. And at the time, I was making 6 figures. Now, as an entrepreneur, if you wanna go back to one of my blogs and podcasts that talks about employee versus entrepreneur and the return on investment in your life, it's like, you see how the percentage there, 100 grand, to 10 million, 25 million plus is like this. So you think there's security because there's a paycheck or bonuses or whatever there is. Same thing with collabs, same things with, you know, so many different things. But the true security and the true value is in what you offer and you serve and you create. And then what you connect with on multiple streams of income. And then you integrate different tools and technologies. Because imagine then when a brand's coming you to collaborate, the kind of value that you offer and whatever the collaboration is, okay? And sharing stories on multiple aspects of the journey, not just the 6, 7, 8 figures. So in any event, with the platforms and with that, I've learned how to utilize and how to grow out of that. So imagine if you're sharing your passions on social media, you can use tools like Preview. You can use tools like If This, Then That. You can use tools like Hootsuite. Those are all tools that I personally use to create, to automate, to adjust. I'm recording right now on my Canon. I just invested in a Canon through Best Buy right before I went on my overseas trip in September. That was something I decided to do to step it up, to step up the content creation, okay? Into now profits. So let's talk about profits. So you heard me talk about the beginning of this episode that there was plenty of ways that before social media ever existed, I created value with different industries exponentially to hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars consistently, you guys. So how did I do that? And how does that relate to social media? Okay. So I'm a big proponent of value creation. So number one, how can you solve a problem? Whether it's with health, whether it's with money, whether it's with business, whether it's with travel, those are just some of the things I'm passionate about, so that's what I'm pointing to, okay? Whether it's with charities, with ending homelessness, with ending cancer. How can you solve a problem? So, and sharing that. So, for example, that's why we started a podcast. That's why I do this content, to share the voice, to share the story, to create awareness, to create community, and to provide tips, tools, and techniques to do that. So how could you do that? Creating value. How could you show up more on lives? How could you show up more on social media in general? Because I promise you what you're doing, you can be and feel and do more. The level of content that I crank out now, you guys, is nothing compared to last year or 5 years ago. It's literally 4 to 10 posts on Facebook alone daily. It's literally between stories, lives, posts, somewhere between 4 to 10 actions a day on Instagram, okay? It's literally recirculating, repurposing content through multiple tools on Pinterest, okay? Tailwind, Smart Loop, literally. It's literally at least 15 actions a day on autopilot. Then on If This Then That, between Twitter and all the other platforms, it's another 4 to 15 actions a day, you guys. So the value, that's not counting YouTube, that's not counting how many ways I'm gonna clip this. That's the video, that's IGTV, that's YouTube, that's a blog on Wix, that's a blog on Blog 11, that's a blog on Kajabi, that's multiple clips to share on Instagram, multiple posts, multiple reach, that is reintegrating it and looping it through If This Then That, and Hootsuite, and Tailwind, and Smart Loop. So the leverage and the automation and the value is exponential, even from one post. Drill down on repurposing your content, because Salesforce talked about this. The average person, it takes them 6 to 8 times to take action on something. Because people, like even me 5-10 years ago, you guys, the levels of clutter or the levels of lack of focus that I had or direction was completely different than what it is today. And my responsiveness now is on a whole different level, because I'm focused on, I know exactly what my passion is, my purpose, people, and then also knowing that everyone has value. For example, I had today some random, not random, person reach out to me via LinkedIn. So that's another platform. If you're not on LinkedIn, I would highly recommend you get on LinkedIn, because LinkedIn is another demographic, another level, and people are very focused on business to business, okay? So I've met some of my best relationships and connections via LinkedIn. So, and I reach out to people all the time. So I got a connection through someone that is a high performance coach through Brendan Bouchard's program. So he was like, hey, I ran across you. I love your profile. I love what you offer. I love your value. It's amazing. If I can ever be of service in any way, let me know. He said something about impact and influencing the world. So he recognized that through, and I also have automated content on LinkedIn. So I reached out to him right away, and I said, thank you so much. So very, very sweet. I so appreciate the outreach. Likewise. By the way, I'm curious if you'd be interested in being featured on our podcast, because I'm also an avid Brendan Bouchard fan. I've also attended, so Authenticity, I've attended his High Performance Academy. I was a student in his monthly mastermind. I also attended his World's Greatest Speaker training, and I've also read High Performance Habits over 6 times. And I gave away 15 or 20 of his books at our Herbalife Success Training seminar last year. So clearly we have a lot of connections, but I haven't featured someone yet who's a high performance coach, who's focusing their business on that. So I realized, because people ask me, well, what's your demographic of Fit Life Creation? And I'm like, it's creating community. And by featuring different people and different stories on our podcast, on our blog, on our platform, that's where the Think Amazon meets Airbnb of transformation comes into play. Because I am clear that if I feature a high performance coach, guess what just happened? We just attracted a whole bunch of people that are into the high performance world that maybe are interested in hands-on experiences. Maybe you're interested in being on our podcast. Maybe you're interested in our retreats, our mastermind, our academy. You guys, you've got to think beyond the instant gratification. That's another thing that I got to unlearn and refocus my attention on delayed gratification, like what I did in college. The connect, create, cultivate is the long-term game. If you think or you focus on what can this person do for me right now, you're not focusing on the right focus. And you're not going to get and keep the millions, the hundreds of thousands, to the millions, to the billions of dollars. Because this is what's gonna happen. Because you're not focusing necessarily on passion, purpose, and people, and being selfless and being of service. Perfect example. I met April at the Buckhead Business Association back in May. We immediately connected on wellness and on transformation. We immediately had an hour, I think, ish or more conversation. I met her at WeWork, cultivation of relationship. I explained what Fit Life Creation was all about, cultivation. I met another time with her and her mentor, Brett. She was in the process of being promoted. More cultivation, more patience, more waiting. I offered for her and Brett to be a feature on the podcast because that's when I was shifting to more features. I had gotten clear on the 12 themes in the podcast and the blog. More cultivation. Just submitted a proposal for them for pilots, for proofs of concepts, and multi-year possibilities. So you guys, patience. And when I say that, I got to learn that. Delayed gratification. Oprah wasn't Oprah overnight. Beyonce wasn't Beyonce overnight. There is a journey. Honor the process. Brendan, Tony Robbins, the list goes on. Shakira. You can see how on purpose I am pulling from different industries because I know it's gonna get you or get different people. Peyton Manning, Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Hakeem Olajuwon. Side note, I was sitting courtside when I was 16, watching Hakeem, Vernon Maxwell. We went and shook their hands. My brother said he was never gonna wash his hand again. So I'm an avid basketball sports fan too. So value creation. So let me look at my notes real quick, you guys. Then simplifying, and what value are you offering, and are you clear? And are you offering exponential value? So I got the best note, you guys, from one of our influencers the other day. She emailed me about the 7-day challenge, and she was like, Operation 40K. Danelle, and she was like, oh my God, I promise I have not escaped, you know, I haven't, what'd she say? I haven't fallen off the face of the earth. She's like, I am amazed. These are her words. I am amazed at the value that you have in the 7-day challenge. She's like, I'm an influencer and I didn't have to pay for this because we're doing a press collaboration. She's like, but I am amazed. She's like, you have this lifestyle assessment. You have all this stuff for health because people get included. A Herbalife transformation pack. There's tons of recipes. There's a habit identifier. There's a health guide that's just on health and more. There's a 6-pack of wealth guide and more, and tools. There's a boss brand guide and more, and a whole bunch of bonuses. And even when people invest in it, it's $35. And I'm clear that I could easily ask $500, $1,000, and a lot of coaches and people do for things that are a lot less. No offense, but a lot less. But my whole focus is value and abundance, you guys, because it has proven true time and time again in my life. Because I don't know what you believe, but I believe our creator in the universe is faithful, and energy comes back tenfold, infinity-fold, comes back. When you pour out all of you, all your passions, all your purpose, you share it with people, you share it on platforms, it will always come back in different levels and layers of abundance. That was how I was able to generate 7 to 9 figure results consistently in every industry, through that mindset, through that approach. But through becoming a full-time entrepreneur, because I was always a side hustler before, I got to face a lot of fears, a lot of feelings of lack, a lot of feelings of lack of worthiness, deservingness, all that for myself. So I had believed for years and saw that growing up also, others are worthy, but I'm not. And my parents are amazing. They broke through so many barriers and so many things, and moving from a different country, you guys, and being in a refugee camp and immigrating. I mean, so many breakthroughs and so much inspiration and so many leaps of faith. But that was something I got to learn. And I was like, wait a minute, if I did this over here, what if I pour myself out fully and serve others fully and selflessly, like I did in grad school and undergrad, through creating nonprofits, all these different things? I wonder how our creator is going to expose and bless myself, us, and especially now that the money has a focus and a trajectory to give back. And the money comes from helping people transform and simplify their life and health, wealth, and business, and create what they love. Because before, everything I was doing in ways that I made money, I didn't love it. I tolerated it, or I loved some of it, some aspects, but I didn't love everything. I'm like, what if I loved everything? What if I served exponentially from a space that the ways that I served excited me, and watching people transform, watching like the Misties and the Joes, some of my clients that turned coaches, transform. What if then the money had a direction? Meaning, yes, it was going to take care of, or it does take care of, and that money that I have and will have takes care of me, takes care of my family, takes care of my legacy, and also gives back millions to billions to help end homelessness and cancer and vets and battered women. Because before, you guys, I let the world sway me in a lot of ways. Meaning, let me focus on the status. Let me focus on the recognition. Let me focus on the car. Let me focus on the money. Let me focus what I can get. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but when you allow that or receive that as an overflow of doing everything that you love, everything that you overcome, expressing yourself fully with your gifts, your talents, and your abilities, and then knowing exactly where your energy is going and the impacts that you want to make, and removing any and all barriers in your brain that it's not possible. Because the same way you achieved X goal before, it's the same process. And I realized years ago, I settled out of fear. Oh, let me set this goal because I'm afraid to fully shine my light and literally reach for the sky, reach for the stars, and reach for the impossible. But the impossible literally says, I'm possible. So it is with that I hope you have so much more clarity now on your social steroids. So many different ways that you're gonna create, connect, serve the world, shine your light. And if you want more and you want more hands-on, I've included a link below to our social media in a day free webinar that includes an email series that includes those tools, a lot of those tools that I mentioned, more organized for you, and that's all free. Full disclaimer, it will lead you to an option to connect, create, and cultivate with our in a day series, which includes social media in a day, blog in a day, website in a day, videos in a day, course in a day. Now, granted, you can do those in a day, and or we break it down in 5 weeks, so you'll get exposed to that as an offer of an invitation to create in our community. You'll also get with that different bonuses and different things like our 3-month mastermind, as well as in the Creation Club, as well as our monthly transformation packs with Herbalife, with other money tools, with other business tools that you get exposed to as well. So full disclaimer, because I believe in complete authenticity, transparency, and no deadlines. If you want to just take the freebie and continue to, tune into social channels, and you want to continue to tune into the other freebies, the blog, the podcast, whatever it is that you want, great. Because on our online stuff, we don't do deadlines. You want to get in, get in. The price is the price, you'll see. What we do offer with the 7-day challenge and the monthly mastermind is access to our events. Meaning, even if you invest in the 7-day challenge, you will get access to our 4-hour event in Atlanta. Now, granted, if you say you're coming and you don't show up, we will charge you another $35 because you're taking someone else's spot. And I know $35 for a live event is a freaking bomb steal. And we do have limited tickets because I like to keep things hands-on, and I like to keep them highly interactive. So it's not gonna be an event of 3,000, 10,000 people. It'll probably be 150 max. Same thing with the monthly mastermind. You invest in the $100 on the monthly mastermind, you get a full day ticket. You invest in the course, you will get the VIP experience without the villa. So you decide what kind of life you want to create. You decide about the choices, the creations, and the consequences into the actions that you take or don't take into creating a life and a business you love. And as always, I will and we will always be here to serve. And if you decide that you want to continue to create with social steroids, and you want to continue to create with the blog, the podcast, I am beyond blessed and beyond grateful for you to be here, because without you, then my own story and my own transformation and my own purpose, passions and purpose, don't get shared. So no matter what, you being here is limitless, is resilience, is priceless, and is you seeking at exactly where and what you need right now. And so I am honored and blessed to serve, and I am honored and grateful that you took the time, because I know this was a long video, because I intentionally decided that I'm gonna start shifting things now. So chat.